before we start this, what I'd like you to ask you to do, this topic sometimes brings up a lot of stuff for us, okay? And then we have inner resistance and inner judgments and all this other stuff. And for us to really approach it from a clean slate, it's necessary sometimes to just be open.
Right.
And so the best way to do that is to close your eyes. And we're going to just breathe a little bit. And I want you to gather all of your energy that is spread around the entire world, from all of your jobs and all of your stuff, and pull it all into this room, into yourself. And just now open yourself up just to receive whatever we're going to be talking about. Okay. You can open your eyes. So it's very natural for us, since the time of puberty anyway, we have a very clear feeling of desire. And for most of us, it's a desire for a woman. And it pushes us from our youth, pretty much till the day we die. And it really manifests itself in many, many, many places in our life. It's probably the most prominent thing that we experience in our life. And what we want to do is, we want to reap the most benefits out of that and have the least negative out of that. So in order for us to really understand how to do that, we first have to understand what is desire. What does it even mean? What does it mean if you're desiring something?
Like you want something.
Right.
Like you don't need it, but you want it.
Well, maybe. Maybe the desire is that you...
Desire food.
You need food.
Yeah.
Okay. So, but the definition of desire is that something is missing.
Right.
And if something is missing, your inner being is saying, I need this, I want this, because I want to fill a lack. Okay? So that push is what we notice, but what's harder to notice, and if you have to go inside to figure this out, is what exactly are you pushed towards? What exactly is missing inside of you that makes this push so strong? Now, to really access this, we need to realize something about ourselves. Right? Hashem says, "Vayivra Elohim es ha'adam b'tzalmo, b'tzelem Elohim bara'oso." Right? So we know what these words mean. That Hashem created us in the image of Himself. It sounds like very Kabbalistic terms, but what it means in a very simple English, it means that all of us, in our innate desire, what we want to do is to become a human version of God. A small version of God. How, if God would be in a human being, how would He look? That's what Hashem created. Which means the deepest desire we have, the thing that's lacking the most inside of ourselves that we're trying to become, is to be godlike. And what you'll find is, all of the desires that you have in your being, including the sexual desire, its core is the need to become a tzelem Elohim. Now, before we actually analyze this, you have to make a distinction, which is that there's a difference between what I desire and how I plan on getting it.
Right.
In other words, it could be that I want to have respect. And that's a very holy desire, because like Hashem wants respect. The whole world was created for His kavod. But He says, you know what? I really want respect. I got an idea. I'm going to go buy myself a Lamborghini. and everyone's going to think I'm so hot, and they're all going to respect me. Right? So that's not about the core desire. That's the way you decided to satisfy that desire. So when we're talking about desire and understanding what's missing, you always have to pay attention, and it's a skill to be able to peel off the levels of the things that you think are you want, and notice what it is you really want. Okay? And when you get what you really want,
also for if you want respect, right? Some people like start yelling at people just to gain more respect. Getting a car.
Yeah, so the point is to realize that your essence, the source of all your desires, is different than the thing that you actually decided to go after.
Right.
You first have to figure out by noticing the things you desire, that's a way of coming access to the deepest desire that you have, and then you could decide, wait, is this really what I'm looking for, or is this a way that I thought I'm going to get what I'm looking for,
right,
and maybe there's even a better way to get what I'm looking for. Okay? What we're first going to focus on is not the way to get what I'm looking for, but rather the core of what the desire is. Now, in order to do this, and by the way, these are for you guys.
There you go. Yeah, I got mine.
These are also the topics we're going to cover. So the thing is, also there's another important point, which is you cannot be satisfied, you can't be fulfilled unless you know what your core desire is. Because if you take a core desire and you try to satisfy it with something which is external, so what will happen is you will feel lack of satisfaction because the core wasn't satisfied. But not only is it important to figure out what you desire so you can navigate it, it's even important to figure out what it is, because otherwise you won't be happy. You won't be satisfied. Okay, so now what we want to do is figure out something from our inner world. How do you access your inner world? This is a skill that is one of the most important skills in personal growth, which is called listening. It's one of the most important skills in any relationship between two people, but also in terms of relationship with yourself, because everything is about a relationship. So I have different parts of myself, and if I relate properly to different parts of myself, then they can work in unison. So if you take, for example, a external relationship, look at how that works, then we can understand how I can have an internal relationship. So if someone comes to you and they say, I really had a bad day, and you said, yeah, I also had a bad day, and you start talking about your day. Or, you go to somebody and you say, wow, this is a problem in my life, and he starts giving you advice, or he starts judging you, right? What is the percentage that you're going to continue the conversation? Or let's put it this way, even if you continue the conversation, how much of yourself is going to be in the conversation, or just trying to deal with this person? So listening is the art, what everybody's basically looking for. And I sit with people all the time, counsel people all the time. And I can tell you that what they first want, more than anything, they will always be listened to. And when they're listened, what happens is they reveal themselves. Because what real listening is, you create a vessel where someone can pour themselves into, and because they pour themselves into it, now they can see it.
Right.
So when you're doing listening, what you're really doing is being quiet, basically not being in your head, quieting down all these voices, no judgment, just receiving and hearing and giving space for whatever you're being told. The same way that's true for our interpersonal relationships between two people, also true for yourself. So if you want to discover what our core desire is, the only way to do that is to listen. Listen means whatever that thing says, listen. No opinions, no judgments, just follow it. And the more I allow it to speak, the more it will speak. The more I allow it to come out, the more it will be revealed.
But it seems to be easier to find the core desires of other people while you're listening, but I think it's personally difficult to find the desire for myself, because I have ideas about what what my core desires are. Like I wrote self-respect, and in that sense I wrote like, how would I gain self-respect for myself? Like,
well, how is already
yeah.
the step beyond listening.
Yeah.
Right now I'm just talking about listening.
Okay.
All right, and maybe if you listen enough, the part of you which is talking will describe exactly what it looks like to be self-respect.
You gotta listen to yourself. Like, I feel like listening to yourself is harder than listening to other people.
It could be it's harder because you have all kinds of opinions and judgments,
right.
and like it shouldn't be this way, it should be this way.
Yeah.
So yes, it's a work, it's a skill to learn how to listen. What's going to happen over the next 6 weeks, right? What I'm going to be doing is encouraging you to listen, and then giving you ideas, sprinkle on them, that the point of them is not you to get my ideas. The point is for you to listen more in depth to your own self.
Right.
And I'll give you inspiration that like, wait, oh yeah, I relate to that. But the point is to get understanding of yourself. So actually, if you write things down, you'll notice over the 6 weeks period that the things you're describing, listening to yourself, will become more clear,
right.
more expressed, more defined. And the only way a person can ever make any decisions is if they are knowing what they want. And to be a truly free person, you need to be true to yourself. And if you're not true to yourself, you're always living someone else's life. And the way to become true to yourself is to listen with simplicity. Don't get all in your head and complain and have ideas, just listen. Okay. So we have 2 pieces that we just put out, and they come together because while you're listening to yourself, if you listen to yourself from a place of respect, right? If you're going to speak to some convict and you're going to hear
right.
garbage, you're not going to have much respect, right? But if you really think, wow, this is an awesome person, you're really going to listen intently, right?
Right.
So if you know who you are, which is you're a Tzelem Elohim, right? You're created in the image of God.
Right.
And that means you want to be, every one of the core of your desires is godly, right? Then you're going to listen intently.
Right.
Okay? So what we're going to do now is we're going to listen with respect. And the topic is going to be, what is missing for you when you don't have an active relationship with a woman on many levels. First of all, physically. Second of all, emotionally. And third of all, spiritually. And if you want to understand spiritually, you can also talk about the concept of meaning in life. Like, what did I leave life accomplishing? Saying, yeah, that's meaningful to me that I'm putting my life to that. That's an expression of spirituality. It's not the whole thing, but it's an expression. So we're going to do again, clarity. We're going to listen to yourself. What do I want in a relationship with a woman? What do I want physically? What do I want emotionally? And what do I want on a meaning level? And you can even put in there a godly level, the way it will help me connect to God. Now, you guys are already writing down. I'm going to ask you to stop and wait a second. And I'm first going to pull you more into yourself. Okay? So, what I'd like you to do is breathe. Close your eyes and breathe. And now I want you to, as you're breathing, notice the sounds in the room. And you can feel your body on the chair. And now I want you to ask yourself a question. And yourself means your lower self from your higher self. And your higher self from your lower self. What it is do you want? What will make you super happy if you have, and you'll feel lacking in pain if you don't have? From your lower self, from your higher self, and from the work they do together. Now just listen before you write. And if you feel like you've listened enough, now write it down.
Question one more time.
Mm-hmm.
What was the question?
If you get in touch with something you're missing, okay, you can feel, wait, there's something in lack. I want,
Right.
okay? And you imagine, what do you want? What will make you like, wow, thank God. Okay?
Content, right?
Right.
So I'm trying to think of something that I feel like I'm lacking.
Something in the aspect of a relationship with a
Or
woman.
in a relationship with me.
Okay? What things are missing for you don't have your woman? And what will be happy, what would you have if you do? Okay. So what I'm going to do now is talk about the things that I've found over my years learning this topic, right? And like I said before, the goal is not for me to teach you. The goal is for you to notice in your own desire if you resonate with this, okay? So to really understand anything, we have to look at the beginning of the world, okay? The purpose. What was the purpose of creation? So Hashem wanted us to have incredible pleasure. So what he did was, the most pleasurable experience he could possibly give us is experiencing him.
Right.
So what he created a world where the ultimate goal of the world is something called dvekus, which is English for connection. That the more we connect to him and experience him, the more we're going to enjoy our lives. Our lives will be full of pleasure as much as they're full of connection with him. So if we look at the world, which is basically a training ground for that, we'll notice that the deepest need of a human being is to be connected. Right? What are the most pleasurable experiences we have in the world and the most painful experiences we have in the world? So as children, right? when our parents have a healthy, loving, caring relationship with us, we feel really connected. That's incredible pleasure. When we have the opposite relationship with them, and we feel left, and we feel not taken care of, we feel abandoned, we feel judged, we feel not heard, extreme pleasure, extreme pain. Then we move up on the totem pole of relationships, and we start having friends, right? And everybody knows that having really good friends is an amazing life. And having really friends who don't care about you, that really sucks. Okay, so what is that? Again, connection or not connection. Then we have in our lives, and I'll skip a stage, we have children, right? Children are something that if you have children, you'll know that your connection with your friend, your children, if it's going well, your life feels great. If there's something animosity between your child and you, that's really horrible. Now, those relationships are on one level. The relationship that has the most pleasure and the opposite, the most pain, is a relationship between man and woman, or lovers.
Yeah.
In that we know, at the most physical pleasures everyone's looking for is intimacy. And everybody who's experienced it or watched it, the worst destructive thing in the world is a divorce.
Right.
Why? Because marriage has another level of connection that is deeper and higher than the other relationships. And that's why it is the closest mashal, the closest parable that we can discuss between us, our relationship with us and God, is the relationship between man and woman. Now, where do we see this? In the Beis Hamikdash, in the temple, the place in the Holy of Holiest, right? The place that was where the Aron Kodesh was, where the tabernacle was. On top of that are these birds that represented the connection between Hashem, between God and us. And those angels, whatever you call them, were connected in a physical way like a woman and a man are connected in an intimate experience. That's what the Talmud tells us in Yuma and Daf Nun Dalet, that they were in the middle of having an intimate experience. And that's why the song, the holiest of holy, the Shir HaShirim, that Shlomo Melech wrote, is a love poem between a man and a woman. And that's the mashal, a way of describing how we connect to Hashem. Because though the same midos, the same character traits that make a good relationship between husband and wife will make the same deep relationship with Hashem. Now, what is it about a man and a woman that makes them different than two brothers, father and a son? What is the expression of that relationship?
It seems more like a match. It seems more of a, not companion, but like a soulmate.
Right, the Torah already tells us, Al Kain Yazov Adam es Aviv es Imo v'davak be'ishto v'hoyu lebasar echad. That because of this is true that Hashem created a woman, therefore a man will leave his parents, right? Meaning he'll look for strive for a deeper relationship.
Right.
And what will he do? Davak, he will become glued to his wife. And what will happen? The sum total of that relationship will be v'hoyu lebasar echad. They will become one flesh. Now, the physical representation of that is the time where the couple, intimacy, the sex that happens between the two of them.
Right.
That's just a physical representation of what the dynamic between the two of them really is. What we're going to analyze is what makes that dynamic that is so connective that the Torah calls it one flesh, because obviously it's not physically one flesh. So what way is it, yes, one flesh? Okay?
Was Haman's great and it was cut in half.
Yeah, but after he's cut in half, right? So now what? Now he's in two holes. Why does it become more connected than two brothers? Now he's two. He's not one. Okay, so The way to understand this is to understand that a man is to a woman and a woman is to a man something that their essence gets tied up in the other's existence. The idea would be, if you look at two cubes and you put them together, right, they're going to have level of connection, but they're still very separate. But if you take Legos or puzzles and put them together, because each one fits in the other and the whole scheme of one only makes sense with the other, they have a different connection, which is a oneness. So if we look at a man, what is the essence of a man? What is the essence of a woman? Each one of them is a different expression of godliness. So, what is the deepest need of a man in this world? If you go inside. So, after speaking to many, many men and listening to myself, I can tell you very clearly that almost every man I ever spoke to has said, I want to give, I want to create, I want to provide, I want to be a protector, I want to be a leader, right? I want to be respected, that, wow, you're such an important person in my life, right? And that's his needs to become in himself. And what does he need to get from his woman? He needs to be supported. He needs to be built. He needs to be pleasured, served. He needs to have her, that she's willing to give herself to him, right? These are all needs. Now, if we look at a woman, and we say, what is the essence of a woman? Okay? So, if we look at her and say, what will make her a full-fledged version of a woman? What she will say is, right, that she wants to build. She wants to take something and create something from it. Creative power, whether it's to create a baby, whether it's to create a home, right, from a house, whether it's to build her children, build her husband, whether it is to do something creative in the world, but she's a creative, create beauty. Make the world a settled, happy place. And what are her needs in a relationship? Her needs in a relationship, B'ikar, starts with being safe. I want to trust this person. I want to be able to put myself in his hands and feel totally safe. Which means I want to know that my basic needs, which is I need to be fed, I can't be hungry, I need a safe house to live in, I need clothes, right? I need to have my body taken care of. I can put this in this man's hands and everyone's going to be okay. Now, if you look at each one of these midos, both of a man and for a woman, you're going to notice that a man's desire, first of all, mirrors exactly God. I want to be a creator. I want to be a giver. I want to be a provider. I want to be protective. Right? I want to have someone who looks up to me and says, wow. Okay? That's exactly what God did in the world. He created a world to give, to provide. He protects his Am. He has people he pulls close to them and said, I want them to be interested in me. I want them to give me respect. Right? He created the world for respect, the pasuk says. So it's a godly midah for a person to step in all these things. And when he finds that person that he can give to, provide for, protect, right? What happens is that this person allows him to become himself through their existence. So when I find a woman, and this woman, if we notice, naturally is looking for in a relationship to be able to put her hands in somebody, to give herself to somebody and feel safe. Right. So when I allow her, when she comes to me and says, will you provide for me? Will you give to me? Will you protect me? Will you even teach me, lead me? She feels totally safe. And he becomes a full version of himself through her. The reason why he becomes like God is because he has a wife to give to provide for, to care for, to protect. So now when he thinks about himself, his full version of himself, what does he see? He sees his wife all over the place. And what does she see? The deepest needs of her life, she sees her food, she sees her husband. Her clothes, she sees her husband. Her house, her husband. Because she's putting herself in his hands and he's providing. So they already have a very deep connection in that he becomes himself through her, and her basic existence includes him all the time. And it goes vice versa. Right? What does a woman want? A woman wants to create. She wants to take something and create out of more. So she's looking for zera. She's looking for seed to create. She's looking for someone to give her a house so she can make it into a home. Right. She wants to make a beautiful environment. Give me the raw materials and I'll make you something incredible. I want to take this man and form him, guide him, create him, give him the power to do incredible things. I want to make children. Right. I want to give him children. And when she's in that relationship, his being in her life is her way of becoming a full-fledged version of herself. A full-fledged version of godlike, being godlike. And the deepest needs that he has, which is, for example, he has a deep need for intimacy. He has a deep need for having a woman who wants to give herself to him. She's extremely happy to be that one because he takes such good care of her. So now his needs to be supported, to be loved, to be given to be served. Who does he always see in that role? His wife. So what do we see? A dynamic that our needs and our expression are completely intertwined. And a woman is to a man as a man is to a woman is life itself. And all of these things are ways for us to step in to being godlike. Hashem wants to give, to provide. So what did he do? He created us in a way. What is our deepest needs? When you think about wake up in the morning, what are you looking for? You're looking to eat. You're looking to have clothes. You're looking to have a safe house. What would it be if God said, I'll provide you with lots of stuff? Okay? I'll give you Torah, I'll give you experiences of spirituality that'll knock your socks off. But listen, if you're hungry, don't talk to me. Yeah, if you want a house, that's not my job. Take care of yourself. How would you feel? In other words, the deepest need of a human being is to be safe, just like a woman is. I want to be able to put my hands in God, and He'll protect me. He'll provide. That doesn't mean I don't have a responsibility to be part of it. I'm also responsible for myself, but we're in a dynamic that I can trust Him. That He's invested in me like I'm invested in myself. And what I want is to give Him, I want to build Him. I want to be able to build. Hashem created the world, that He gave us the ability to change the world. We decide how much He's in the world or not in the world. If we decide God comes into the world, then He does. If not, we kick Him out, then the world looks bad. But He gave us the interaction with Him, the intimate interaction with Him. We can actually have creative power. We can build Him, build His kingship. We can serve Him. We can give Him pleasure. We can give an offering. Of course, He created that in order to gift us a way of connection. Of course, He doesn't need it inherently, but He wanted to create a relationship with us of oneness, and the way oneness works is each one has a role in the other one's life. So for Him to be an expression of God in this world, He needs us. He didn't have to need us, but the way He created the world was that without an Am, He can't be a king. If there's no one to give Him kavod, He won't have kavod. Right? That's why He gave us the bechira to be able to express Him in the world. And we won't feel safe until He's in our life, providing for us, loving for us, caring for us. And then we can be a full version of ourselves. We can be godlike. We can be creative and giving. So when talking about Hashem doesn't need anything, you have to make a distinction. What all the holy books say is that there's the essence of God, atzmuso, that we can't even understand. And then there's what He put into the world, which is the expression, the revelation of Him. Within the revelation of what He did, we have incredible power. We have giving power, we have disconnect power, like any relationship, any intimate relationship. And in that sense, he gave us the ability to be like him, God-like. All of this, what it works, how it is, that a man and a woman can have such a deep connection that they literally their whole life is defined and expressed with the other. I don't even have a life that is separate from you because I'm so intertwined. I can separate from you, but the way that I've chosen to express my life includes you so immensely that we're completely enmeshed. And that's what we're looking for in our deepest need, because we want the deepest level of connection that's possible that we're going to eventually have with God. And we're here to learn how to do that. So I won't be satisfied until I have this deep, intimate connection of oneness. And how do I do that? By becoming myself. Who is myself? An image of God. So when I step into my full being self, I automatically connect. And I have it. My desires are satisfied, because the deepest desire that I have is to be godlike. And all of the physical representations that exist in intimacy, all of them are deeply connected to these needs. For example, let's take an example that doesn't do with intimacy. So we know that parents, change their kid's diaper. So you go look at that, okay. The mother's cleaning up the diaper. But really, how the mother cleans up the diaper is an expression of her love and her care to this child. And to whatever way she does it, she translates that message into her child. I love you, I care about you, you're safe, right? All of these physical desires that we have between men and women, they're very, very physical. But if you want to be satisfied and get to the core of them, and really have your desires met, you'll notice that what you're desiring is this physical experience to be an expression of these deep needs to become godlike and to connect. So, for example, a man has a very leadership role in the intimate experience, and a deep desire to give. If the woman he's with is happy with what he's giving her on an intimate way, then he feels like king of the world. He knows how to do it well. He's king of all kings. And she's so thankful, so he gets respect. Right? So it's about pleasure, but it's about what's behind that pleasure. You know who I become? I become a really sensitive, caring, giving individual, full of love, a real awesome guy. And what she gives him, right? She receives him. Even though it's a physical thing, she wants his zera. Because let's really go into this 1 second. What is zera? The apex of a physical experience is the giving over of sperm. What is sperm? Sperm is a miniature version of you. It's you. It's a small version of myself, and it's alive. So if you think about the deep desire for every man to give over zera, what he's really saying is, I want to give myself to someone. I want to give a gift. The biggest gift that I can possibly give is connection to me. And what I want is the biggest connection you could possibly give to me is receiving me, and therefore I'm connected to you. How would it feel if a woman says, you know what, you can put your zera on me, but I don't really want it? So what we're looking for, she's looking to receive, and you're looking to give. So this physical experience of transference of this thing called sperm, what it really means is a deep desire to have connection. Right. Connection through what? Giving and receiving. I want to give you myself. I want to receive you. This is exactly what God did with us in giving us the Torah. Because the Torah is a miniature version of God. He's giving himself over. He's giving us his zera. That's why it says in the Gemara that Anochi Hashem Elokecha, I am Hashem your God, right? The words Anochi is an acronym. Anas Nafshis Ksivis Yeshivos. I'm giving I wrote down in these words myself. Right? So Hashem wants to give himself, so he gives us the Torah. And for us to learn those midos, we have a deep desire to give ourself to a woman. And what does Hashem want from us? What is Hashem's deepest desire? That we should receive him. We should say, yes, I want your Torah. I want your gifts in the world. So we learn how to do that. The women teach us how to do that, and women do that. Yes, I want to receive your zera. And what does Hashem do when he has this relationship to us? He protects us. He loves us, right? So we want to step into the Hashem role. We want to protect and love our wives. Give, pleasure them. Make them safe. And when we do that, we feel like a king. Because that's what we are. A melech. And what does Am Yisrael want to do with all of the gifts that Hashem gave us? We want to make him happy. We want to create him a world. We want to make this world a beautiful place. We want to make him more revealed in the world. We want to build him. We want to make goodness in the world. We want to take the things that he gave us, the Torah, and make the world full of morals and values. What does a woman want to do? She wants to take his zera and make beautiful children. She wants to take his love, his giving, and make a beautiful house. Make beautiful meals. Right? You provided for me. Here, I'm going to give you all of this. She wants to support him, make him as great as he possibly can be. She wants to create like we want to create. So all of the physical desires, when you have desires to touch, to see, all of these things are expressions of these desires to have this deep, intimate connection that has to do with you being a man, she being a woman, and the oneness that it creates. And in order to satisfy this desire, we have to actualize those character traits in ourselves, allow her to actualize her character traits, and then all the physical expression, all the physical pleasure, all the physical things that happen will actually be a representation, a way of getting to not only a physical connection when they connect like a puzzle, but actually emotionally and spiritually they will be a puzzle. They will fill each other. And through these actions, both of them will develop into be such a refined being that they will look and act like God. Because you can't be giving and receiving and connective and building and loving unless you're refined to a point of sensitivity that you're able to understand the other one. That's why it says in the Torah that when it's described that Adam and Chava connected and they had a baby, it says Adam yada es Chava ishto. He knew her, which means he understood her psyche, he understood her body, he understood everything about her, and that's how he was able to connect. Without sensitivity and caring, you can't connect to somebody. And she, in turn, understood him and learned him, his psyche, his emotional needs, his physical needs. And with that understanding, they were able to have a deep, deep connection. So what happens when you engage in intimacy, where you're trying to be a full version of yourself, and you're trying to connect, you become such a beautiful, awesome person through this physical experience. And actually, the more invested you are in the physical experience, doing it well, the more you're giving, the more you're loving, the more you're receiving, the more you're refined, the more you're caring.
You're more connected.
More connected. So it's actually being an expert in the physical world and an expert at each other makes it more holy. And here we have a big lesson that Hashem did not create us to have lacking. He created us to be fully expressed, fully satisfied. And if you're something in your life which is not satisfying you, that's because you're not in full connection. Go for it. Figure it out. What's missing? It's not supposed to be this way. Work. Know that it's supposed to be beautiful and amazing and satisfactory. If it's not that way, there's something wrong, both in your relationship between a man and a woman and both your relationship with God. It's supposed to be a fulfilling, satisfying, loving relationship where you both sides feel totally fully expressed, totally fully satisfied. Now, what happens is that when we're young, we hit this desire and we have no idea what it's really looking for. And so we try all kinds of things to say, hey, will this make me happy? Will this make me happy? Will this make me happy? And the process of those years are intended for a person to refine himself and to understand himself to the point of which when he's time for him to be married, he'll already know how to do it in a way that's fully satisfied, because he'll know what he's looking for. And he'll know what she's looking for. And he'll be able to get those things in his relationship in a fully satisfied way. So at this point, do you have any questions? Okay. Now, the things that you wrote down, do you see them expressed in a deeper way now?
Yes. I actually, before this class, recently met someone who like each other, and I've set boundaries, because I think that that's important in order to have a good connection for the future. And it's basically literally what we've just been talking about, so I feel aligned.
Now, what's going to happen is, I'm going to see this as we go on, is that when you have expressions that don't fully express what you're looking for, you're going to be empty. That emptiness is supposed to be there. It's supposed to direct you. Hey, I am not a full-fledged version of myself through this. There's something missing. I got to find what it is. And when you do have an experience where it's fully fledged, you should be proud of it, because it's actually the most important accomplishment in your life to step into this role, because this is the way that you actually are doing the most expression of your purpose in the world. What did Hashem say? What is the mitzvah that is klal gadol b'Torah? Everything depends on it. V'ahavta l'reacha kamocha. Who is reacha? Who is your friend in that pasuk? First and foremost, it's your wife. It's also Hashem, Rashi says. How can it be both? Because one feeds on the other. The midos you develop between your wife and yourself, those are the midos you use to have love for Hashem. So really working on the love, you working on this, and the shoresh of how this relationship is developed is through this koach, which is in you from puberty. Because this koach, that's what it's looking for. And it will make you crazy until you satisfy it that way. So what people always come and to complain about it is that I'm doing this, and I'm doing this, and I don't feel satisfied, and I had this, and I had this. There's no way to actually be satisfied until you have clarity what you're looking for. Once you have clarity what you're looking for, then you can find it. You can not only find it in when you have a relationship practically with a woman in marriage, you can even find it in the years before. Because the essence of the desire is not just to have a physical experience with a woman. The essence of a desire is to become something and to be connected. And there are plenty of opportunities in your early years to become a full-fledged version of B'Tselem Elohim, and plenty of opportunities to connection that doesn't necessarily have to involve a sexual experience at that age, where you don't even really have the capabilities of doing it. And if you do, what usually happens is, and we'll learn about this more, is that the fact that you're not built enough ends up causing you to be unsatisfied and feeling lack and pain.
Can I share something? Really
Sure.
Fast? One thing I noticed, hopefully this makes sense when I say it out loud, but I know some people that they sleep around just for more connection. And right after that they feel empty.
Right.
Because they actually haven't found the connection that they were looking for in the first place.
Excellent. So that's what we're going to be doing next week.
That's what
is analyzing the push through different experiences we've all had, noticing what is pushing us to do things that we reflect on after and say, you know what, that wasn't so positive. You know what, that was actually negative. You know what, the Torah says not to do that. Okay, so why did I do it? Because there was something missing in my life. Well, what is that thing that's missing in my life? That's an important thing. Now, how can I fulfill it? Right? And what's magical about that whole process is those things that I'm looking for today, I need them today. You don't want to know why? Because I need today to build my future. I'm looking for an amazing intimate relationship. I'm not holding my having yet because I'm not ready to be married. But I need to develop the character traits and the skills and the full expression of myself that will allow me to have that connection when it's time when I have a woman. And how do I do that? Well, I'm missing something. I desire something. Let's go get it. What is that thing? You get that thing. You built the kollelim to get that thing. You've built your future marriage.
Wow.
So what we need to do next week is to look at the base desires that push us to do all kinds of things from the age of 13 until the age we get married. That may be the most destructive things in the world, but who cares?
Right.
Because those are a window in understanding what I'm really looking for. And obviously I'm being pushed to things because it's important. Now I can make a distinction and say, well, is that really what I want? Or is that what I thought how I would get what I want? Yeah. And then we can peel off layers and say, what do I really want? And then we can actually find ways that will satisfy the full version of desire, and we won't be feeling empty in the end. So that's what we're going to be doing for the next 2 weeks. Okay? From what my experience is, there's 5-6 base needs that are pretty common, that we all need, and all of them are fully expressed in an intimate relationship with a woman. But they all need preparation, refinement of character, in order to be able to do those things which will satisfy ourselves within an intimate relationship with a woman. So each one we're going to look at carefully, listen inside, see the ways to get it, and notice that you can even get them way before you're in an intimate relationship. And not only that, if you don't figure out how to get them without the intimate relationship, you won't even be able to access it with the intimate relationship. Which is why I don't necessarily think this is a course dafka for people who are not married. Even people who are married, right. This is a basically internal process you do in yourself that will teach you about yourself and how to open yourself up to satisfy your deepest need of intimacy. Any questions on that?
That's great. I mean, for something more personal, for me, I go out with all these girls and I'm just I don't feel connection with, I don't feel like I realize something's missing, and I realize that I'm trying to find out what I'm missing so that I could solve that issue.
So you see, listen to what you're saying. I'm missing something, and when I get it, then I will be able to find that connection with that girl.
No, it's just I've been going out with different girls, and it's just I'm looking for the connection, then I realize the more I look for the connection, the more I go out with all these girls and try to look for connection, it's just a sense of emptiness.
Right. So the keys of connection may be within yourself.
Yeah, I know. That's my.
Right. In other words, if you don't build the vessels to connect with, even the perfect girl will walk by, it won't make any difference.
Yeah.
That's what this desire inside of ourselves is making us crazy about. Make the vessels. You see over here what's going on? I need something. I need to become something. I need to do something. It's not about the woman yet. It's about me. What I'm looking for is a bris. What I'm looking for is a covenant, a connection. But the midos, the attributes, the character traits of becoming able to maintain a bris is what my desire is looking for now. And when I fulfill it, you will be fulfilled. You won't be hungry.
I feel like I don't listen to myself enough. That's my
100%. It's one of the most important things we need to do is listen to ourselves. It's hard.
What do I want? Like,
You know what? It's hard because, first of all, the world is very good at teaching us about ourselves, which is not true to ourselves. You want this, you should be this. Your parents, your teachers, they think the Torah is telling you to be something else, right? And there's all this noise. And it's hard. Shh. What do I want? What do I need? That's the beginning of satisfaction, the beginning of freedom, in the beginning for you to step into who you really are.
That's a nice class.
Amazing.